name's Nicole, and thanks so much for joining me today for another yoga flow. Today we're going to continue our journey into the Yamas and the Niyamas, coming up on Brahmacharya, which is meaning right use of energy. To teach Brahmacharya with you today and to incorporate into our practice, we are going to be engaging in quite a lot of heart openers, activating that heart chakra, so a lot of chest openers essentially. As always, feel free to have a block at the ready, as I will be giving you plenty of variations that you can utilize these for. And that's about that. If you're looking for intention with today's flow, it is simply to not live in excess, knowing that we can live our lives true in contentment with what we have without needing too much or too little. So it's really just about being comfortable where you are right now and knowing and trusting that you have everything you need, every answer you could ever need already within yourself, or you have the tools to be able to attain it if not. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Lots of heart openers today, so we're actually going to start in a seated twist. So I'm going to face the long edge of my mat. We're going to take a nice deep inhale and lift the hands up overhead. And as we exhale, let's bring right hand to left knee. Left hand is going to come behind, looking over that left shoulder, grounding through the sit bone, lifting and lengthening through the spine here, looking over that left shoulder if you are able to, for 3 deep breaths. And if you need a little bit more height here, you can invite one of the blocks under that left hand as well. Good, let's inhale, come back to center. Arching the back, bringing the chest forward, and exhale, switch sides. 3 more breaths. Inhale, come back up, very good. And this time, let's exhale, bring the hands down to the knees, taking seated cat-cow. So as we inhale, we draw the chest forward, gazing up towards the ceiling, not crunching our neck. Exhale to round, contract through the spine, tuck the chin to chest. We're going to do that about 4 more times. Breathing as we go, reminding ourselves with the intention for today's practice that everything we have within us is everything we need, and that everything we could ever possibly need is within us already. Inviting ourselves to imagine maybe, or ask, if we are living our lives in excess in any way, doing too much, perhaps. And just think on it as you take this last round of cat-cow. Beautiful. Let's place hands on the mat, rock forward. Let's come into a tabletop pose, sending the knees behind you. Very wonderful. From here, move these blocks out of the way. We are just going to walk the hands forward, rolling through the spine. Feet are directly behind us in line with our knees. We're just going to lower down, coming onto the forearms, which are framing the chest, palms planted into the mat, coming into a little sphinx pose here. Holding just for a couple breaths as we lift and lengthen through the upper body. If we invited awareness in to see where in our life we are living in excess, let's also invoke the question as we flow. How would it feel to live within balance? So to not do as much, and let that idea be the motivation for your class today. So not needing to feel like you have to show up a certain way because of any external factors, but instead showing up exactly as your body needs, in contentment, in comfortability, rather than excess, and doing just what your body asks or is comfortable with today. One more big inhale. As we exhale, lowering down to the mat, using the hands to frame the chest, let's inhale, come back up, this time to our cobra. And again, just thinking on what that may look like in today's practice, giving our body exactly what we need, not too much, not too little, using our energy responsibly. Exhaling back down to the mat, tucking the toes, elbows in as we press up and come all the way up to our downward facing dog. Shaking the head out just a little bit here. Hips are up towards the ceiling. You can feel free to take a little micro bend in the knees here. If you'd like to bring the blocks to support your wrists under your hands, you're more than welcome to do that. And we will go ahead and walk the dog. So alternating as we lift through each leg. Breathing as we go. Pressing away from the hands, looking down towards the toes, 2 more breaths. Very good. Let's take a nice deep inhale, and as we exhale, guide the right foot forward and in between the hands, coming into a runner's lunge. Feel free to grab your blocks and place them under your hands here. From here, you're going to engage through that core, feeling as if we're tightening the muscles. Ground the top part of that left foot, ground through all 4 corners of the right foot. As you inhale, lift up, coming into our high lunge. Now let's check alignment here. Knee is stacked over the ankle, hips are squared to the top of the mat, and the knee is not flailing out to the side, it is perfectly in line with the hip. Once we're here, if we are able to, let's bring palms together, bringing them up and back. If you'd like, pointer finger and thumb are out, the other fingers are tucked in, and let's bring the chest forward here. If this is a little bit difficult for you, you can keep hands at prayer or at the hips. And feel free to shorten the stance here if that would help as well. Bend in the back knee, big inhale, exhale. Lower the hands back down to the mat, untuck that back foot. Coming into our regular low lunge, melting into that left hip flexor as we glance upwards past the top of the mat, directly in front of us. Breathe here, 3 deep breaths again. Feel free to use those blocks. I personally come up onto my fingertips. It's just a little bit more comfortable for me. Wonderful. Little twist here as left hand stays on the blocker mat, right hand comes up and over. Again, if you are able, if not, behind the back or on the hip. Glancing upwards at that palm, again, if you are able. And reminding you here that whenever I offer a variation, you do not have to take it, but living in truth with contentment or right use of energy, let's make sure that we are considering each variation as a possible best option for our bodies currently. Exhale, bring that hand back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift to runner's lunge. And on the inhale, step it back to our plank pose. Very good. Inhale, shoot the hips up, coming into our downward facing dog. Just take 2 breaths here. Feel free to take child's pose at any moment should you need or should you desire, listening to our body here. Otherwise, whenever you are ready, on the next exhale, let's guide that left foot in between the legs. Same little flow we did on the other side. On this side, grounding through the feet. Engagement in the core. Inhale to lift. Very good. You can start with your hands up all the way up if you know that that's the variation you're going to take. Once ready, if you are joining me with palms up, pointer finger and thumb facing up and back as we arch the chest forward. Breathe here. Good. On the next exhale, let's melt the hands down to the mat, framing that foot once more, exhaling to lower that right knee down to the mat. Let's melt into that right hip, pressing into it, coming up onto our fingertips or blocks, holding, and again, this low lunge here. Closing our eyes, allowing our bodies to really feel the presence of the stretch. Feel where it's activating for us, where it's stretching and opening. Right hand stays on the mat, left hand comes all the way up, or you take the variation that you took on the other side, or potentially explore one for the first time. Very good. Let's exhale, bring that hand back down to the mat. Inhale, tuck the back foot, lift the back knee. And as we take a nice deep exhale, Shake the head out a little bit. Inhale, step it back, come to plank. This time we're holding 10, 9, press into the heels, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, you got this, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, shoot the hips up and back. Deep breath here. And exhale. Knees to the mat, big toes touch, send the hips back, child's pose. Now, if in this child's pose coming down into lowering the pelvis is a little bit much, you can always slide a block directly under there. And if there's a little bit of tension in the shoulders, feel free to stack one on top of the other in terms of the forearms and just rest the head. Taking a nice little pause here. Acknowledging ourselves for showing up for today's practice. Acknowledging ourselves for extending curiosity to what the right use of energy in our lives looks like. And when we're ready, we will inhale, reach the fingers out towards the top of the mat, coming up onto the fingers. Exhale to walk those hands in here. And come to a seated posture. Just coming into a little bit of an easy pose here. Once we're in this easy pose, just a couple more postures here. Let's interlace the fingers behind the back if we are able to. Holding each other, each hand. As we inhale, let's lift from the tailbone, glancing upwards towards the ceiling. Just a couple breaths here. Invitation to explore this pose a little bit further on the next exhale, diving forward just a little bit as you lift the palms up slightly more. You want to try to keep your sit bone on the mat here. So if you start to notice that you're lifting a little bit too much, maybe take that as an invitation to stay where you're at. And as you go through time, maybe finding that you come down lower naturally. Inhale to come up. Hands come back to the knees. Give yourself a moment here, breathe. Good. On the next exhale, take your hands, wrap them around the shoulders, tuck the chin to the chest, rounding to the back here just for a moment. Let your head be heavy. Good. Release on the inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to bind our hands again, maybe switching sides this time with which thumb is on top. Once we've done that, we're going to take that same little posture we did last time. So finding whatever works for you. So you take a bend. If this is a little bit difficult as well, you can just bring your hands out in front of you and bring the chest to melt towards the mat. So whatever feels best. Good. Inhale, come up, release. Opposite hand, opposite shoulder this time. Same little tuck. Just for a moment. Good. Inhale, release. Let's walk the hands back. Come to lay down. Now for your corpse pose, you can either lay down fully, palms facing the ceiling, legs stretched out towards the bottom of the mat, or you can bring the feet to the foot of the mat, allow the knees to fall into each other, or if you'd like to take this last bit of practice seated upright, you're more than welcome to do so. Let's gently close the eyes here. Roll the shoulders down towards the back, lower back. And then from here, just do a quick scan. Make sure there's no tension that we are willingly holding on to in the body. So take 2 breaths here to just make any organic movements that feel good. Releasing anything that no longer serves us. Good. Whichever way we are taking this mini shavasana, the shavasana I should say, let's bring the palms facing upwards to the ceiling with the eyes closed. And breathe just for a moment. thinking back on the right use of energy, or Brahmacharya, and what that means to us. So what does applying a right use of energy in our life look like? Asking ourselves without judgment if there's an area of our lives that we are approaching in access, and what it would look like if we were to take in a more balanced approach. I'll invite you to ponder that for just a couple moments, or reflect on your practice, and I will wake you when time is up. Gently begin to blink the eyes open, coming back into consciousness slowly. Maybe you wiggle fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, you can meet me in whatever posture is most comfortable for you for today's practice. As we end, we will inhale, lifting hands all the way overhead, holding everything that we have created or realized for ourselves in our hands. Exhaling all of that beautiful energy down to our heart center where it never leaves. Bowing forward, namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another flow. It was a pleasure today, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.